Hi there, it's Simone. I'm here today with my currently inked video. I am sharing the inks that I'm moving over, show you which colors I picked for the next rotation, and then which pen I paired each ink with, and then I will show you a writing sample in my Tomoe River notebook. I have decided to split up my ink rotation report from the previous month because the videos just get too fat, and too long. And if you are interested in that though, it is the last video on my channel. Let's dive in and check out what I had to share.
Right, so here is what I started with this month with my ink rotation color pick. I knew I was going to move these over from the last month, so I had a very yellow green and a really bright blue. I received, in my ink swap, I received the Pinonia Draculea, which I knew I wanted to try. So I have this one. Then I had this Sailor Manyo Neko Yanagi ink sample. I had it for a while and I just wanted to see how it performed in a pen. So I had that on my list to use. In a recent purchase, I purchased it right in the beginning of September, but just haven't gotten to put this ink in a pen. I purchased a bottle of Diamine Deep Magenta, and I decided that I really want to see again how it performed in a pen, so that's what I picked as well. In the ink flight box that I received as a review box, I had this ink was in there, and that was so intriguing with the chromo shading, the oranges here, the darker greens. So I thought, I'd love to see how this performs, and you can see a color story developing right here. I hadn't inked or used many of the Inkvent inks from 2021, so I made sure I picked one that would go with this whole color situation, and I picked Diamine Tempest. And then I knew I wanted to ink. On Fountain Pen Day, I purchased a pen, so I thought, well, I need a lighter gray or a neutral color that is lighter than the Diamine Tempest. So I picked Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty because I have a bottle of it, and I wasn't a 100% fan of this ink, so I wanted to give it another try. Then I really, again, as I said before, I really like those dark neutrals that aren't black. So I thought, I want another one of those. And this one was very intriguing. It's a color that I'm not 100% sure about if I like it. So I thought, why not this one? That was in the November ink flight box. And then when I looked at all of those colors and I had one more pen to be able to ink, I picked a darker red, and so I sorted them this way. I like how this color situation developed. This one, then this one. Wow, now it fell. And it's very interesting to see this color in here because it doesn't look like that, but it turns out it's kind of a blue-ish color. So this is what my color story looks like, and this is how I inked the pens. I picked the Sailor Manyo Neko Yanagi to go in the Franklin Christoph. I think I'm gonna just write with them and then talk about them because I usually talk about them when I'm writing anyway. So that's the colors. And then I'll bring out my book and start writing. I'm going to write into my other two currently inked books off camera and then just show them to you once I'm done. And now I'm going to start this situation right here. I haven't written with many of them since I inked them on the 18th, so that's going to be very interesting. I usually don't post my pens, but with this one, it feels very good. This is the Franklin Tough model number 2. This is a one of a kind, so I don't think it has a name, and this is just a regular medium nib. It's a number 6 nib. That's another thing what I'm going to talk about later on. And the ink is Sailor Manyo Neko Yanagi. I love how this shades on Tomoe River paper. This is just fantastic. I see a tendency with many of these pens that I really just don't even want to let them out and give them a rest for a rotation. So this pen has been inked with different inks since the day that I purchased it. That tells me that I must really love it. And I think maybe I am going to film another just chatty video about that, what that means. Am I going to maybe reduce my collection? I counted it today because yesterday was, if I can contain myself, and I'm really working on that very hard. Yesterday I received the last pen that I purchased in 2022. This one is one of those pens that I just had to get. It is the Purple Glow. I love that it doesn't just glow the typical yellow, but it glows with blue. Purple and blue are some of my favorite colors, so I wanted to have it. And since this lilac, here you can see the difference in the colors, is permanently inked with platinum carbon black, I wanted to have another extra fine nib. This ink is extremely wet, so it is TWSBI Ego Purple Glow. I don't know if it's Glow Purple or Purple Glow. I like how the Purple Glow flows off my tongue, so that's what I'm calling it. It's extra fine nib, and the ink is Diamine Deep Magenta. As you can see, this ink flows out of this pen. This is an extra fine nib. It puts down a lot of ink, and I love it for that reason. This might take the lead in purple magenta inks that I have. The Manyo Akebi is a little bit different. It sheen has a sheen. This one doesn't. And I have noticed that, again, that's something that I noticed about my ink preferences, is I don't necessarily care for sheening inks that much. Before I take this apart, this is my newest acquisition. I purchased it on Black Friday. Well, it's not Black Friday just yet, but it was with the Black Friday deals, Black Friday Blitz on Endless Pens. If they reduce the price on Black Friday for this pen even more, I'm going to be so sad. No, actually, I'm not, because I really enjoy the writing experience with this pen. Didn't think I would. I like the feel of the material. It is the Lamy 2000. And to my own surprise, I got an extra fine nib. In the video that I published today, so when you see this has been out for a couple of days, but that I published today, I talked about the reasons why I decided not to get it, then wrote with it and decided to actually get it. This is the Lamy 2000 with a, do I have to write the black? I'll write it with an extra fine nib. The nib makes a sound when I write, and the color that I have in here is Diamine Oxblood. I decided this is a dark red, so that's why it's in that order. I used it yesterday to make an entry in my journal, and I really liked the writing experience. Again, it has a very wet flow. That is something that seems to be working for me very well at the moment. Then I have this Lamy Safari. with a 1.1 stub nib inked. I thought maybe I would see the properties of the Draculea. Well, it's an orange ink with black pigment, similar to the Cheerio Water Buzz that has blue pigment. Wow, what happened here? Do I have a rag? Nope, not really. I guess I'll use the one that I used to wipe off the table before I filmed. Okay, so I had a really great experience with an ink earlier this year in this pen, but I can already tell Lamy Safari. And do I have to write yellow? Yes, I'll write it. Yellow 1.1 stub, and the color is Pannonia Draculea. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that this ink was Pannonia's 2020 Halloween ink. They came out with the reverse ink in 2022, which is a dark black or a black ink with orange pigment. This one, I had Blue Moon in there and it was so wet and so flowy and so amazing. This is not how this works. And I'm not sure that I actually like this. I was so excited. I saw this ink on Mystery Arts video and I thought, I'd love to test this. And then in my ink swap, I received a sample of that, but maybe it's not the ink for me. It looks kind of like dried blood, something, even though I really like red inks. And even though I really enjoy how orange inks and red inks look, and some of them really do look like blood, this one has some kind of, I'm not sure. So I haven't written with this yet, so I can't really judge it yet, but this is already one of those where I don't know if I'm gonna like this. Oh my gosh, I forget to leave this on here to show you the pen. This is the TWSBI VAC 700R Iris. It was a pen that I purchased in December of 2021. Was one of those that I really wanted, then I didn't get it, then I felt like I needed it. So then when it was available again, I got it. I have it with a medium nib. This one also has a number 6 nib. This is a number 6 nib. And so I noticed when I used this pen that I really enjoy the bigger nibs. So I wanted to have a currently inked rotation where I have a lot of number 6 nibs in that rotation, just to see if it's just that specific nib or if it's the size of the nib. This is a vac filler pen. That's why I unscrewed the knob in the back. It is inked with, let me just start, because you know, the length of this video is going to be massive. TWSBI VAC 700R Iris in a medium nib, and the ink is Krishna, and this is not a K. Krishna. Is there, how do you pronounce this? Cassia. Well, the Cassia Flora sounds like it's Latin, but the Krishna is Indian, because that's where the ink is from. I still like how this looks. I still like how this shades. This is an interesting ink, and when I inked up this pen, now I can't find it. I used that, wow. That trick that Chris Sains showed in one of her videos, where she talked about the, what is this called now? Schlauch, that you would put on the pen and just stick it on. This is very tight. Maybe I would need another inner diameter to make this work even better, but I had it on there. the ink journal samples, or the ink flight samples, are 2 milliliter samples. And so I put this on here. I wedged it on. It worked better than right now because I wasn't able to create a vacuum with this big nib in a 2 milliliter sample. So I wedged it on there so that it was sealed here. Then I poured in the ink, and then I created the vacuum like this, and it worked like a charm. I was surprised. That worked. This I want to compare to another pen that is further down the line. That's why I inked it, because of the number 6 and the vacuum. Besides having pretty colors, I really want to experience these pens and form a better opinion, because that's what I think is necessary for paring down my ink collection, realizing what I really like, what I don't. This is the TWSBI Eco T in the apple green, as I called it. The cap has some cracks right there. It is inked with Pannonia and Ink Dependence Cheerio Water Buzz. And, well, not on this paper right now. I thought it was going to be lighter. Is it? Is it not? Yeah, a lot. Maybe the pigment was here visible and it's not here. TWSBI T with a apple green. After I filmed the video, I looked it up and I knew the color of this pen, but I don't remember anymore. So this also has a medium nib. The ink is Cheerio Water Buzz. Oh, we are going to do it this way right now. Pannonia Ink Dependence. Oh yeah, I can fit this on this line, as you can clearly see. Yeah, this is very bright in this. I probably prefer this color to this, because this is very, oh, wow, hard on the eyes to fair, but that's okay. Another pen that I decided to move forward, and I can see myself inking this up constantly, is the Platinum 3776 Century in Laurel Green. This one also has a medium nib. This one also has I would call it a number 6 nib. It's, I don't know what Platinum calls them. It's a tiny bit smaller than the Jowo nib. But if we compare it to the other number 6 nib that I have in my rotation right now, we'll see that it's similar. I can cap this, no problem. Not cap, post. I'm not sure that this ink is the best choice for this pen though. So, Platinum 3776, Laurel Green with a medium nib. The color is Diamine Tempest, and it's an ink vent color, ink vent 2021. So if I compare this to this, it's a completely different story. And then if I take the swatch, no, that's not the swatch book, that's not even the right notebook right here. So I took them out of the weeks that I had them in and put all the Inkvent samples, swatches in here. I don't know, maybe yes. It looks more like a blue, a really light blue, blue-gray even. More similar to the Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty than I had expected this to be. I thought this was going to be really dark. but that's totally okay. I'm going to try using this and see how I like it. I don't know if you can see the shimmer here. I didn't even agitate it, so maybe you can't. I've written with it once or twice. Oh, well, not on here either. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. It might not be the perfect color ink pen combination. Then we have 3 more pens to go, and we can do this. So this is, oh, she forgets all the time. I don't know. What are we going to do with this person? Would you sort this color in right here? I don't know. I thought it was a light blue. Now it looks more like a gray. But then where does gray go on the rainbow? This is the TWSBI Eco in cerulean blue. This is probably my favorite color of all the Ecos that I own currently. TWSBI. I have found that when I hold it more cerulean blue with a reverse architect nib, and it is, well, that's it. And the color that I have inked on it in it is Monte Verde Horizon Blue. The reverse architect is like that. This is what it looks like when I write with this side, and this is what it looks like when I write with this side. So that's basically what makes this pen special. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep this nib in this pen because maybe I don't want to limit this pen usage to this specific nib, but we'll see. For now, it's good. This is another new acquisition. I purchased this on Fountain Pen Day. I was looking for other companies that made pens with number 6 nibs. Doesn't really matter if it's gold or steel. Steel is definitely more affordable, and I found Navalure, and so their vacuum filler pen is more affordable than this pen, the TWSBI pen, and it also has a number 6 nib. However, if I'm comparing all those number 6 nibs right now, then this is definitely the smallest one of those. They say it's a number 6 nib. It's an in-house nib. This should be the same size. This nib, the TWSBI nib, is made by Yobo. They have a slightly different shape, but not very much. And then this one is made by Navalure. It reminds me more, if I look at, maybe it's because of the feed. I'm gonna pull out the pen that it reminds me most of. Just this one. The shape of the nib is very similar. Like the whole, I know that this is bigger, but it would also fit with, this is a number 8, this is number 6. The sizing, the shape of and the fit is even flatter here. So this is a vacuum filler pen. So it has the same filling mechanism as the TWSBI. There was some stuff going on with TWSBI and Navalure earlier this year. If you're watching in 2022, I have decided that that is not my problem and that I am going to support whichever company I choose. TWSBI has using the same piston filling mechanism, or very similar, than as Pelikan does. That is public domain, and I would assume that vacuum filling mechanism is very similar to that. It is not something that TWSBI invented, and so I don't see any fault by Navalure to take that as inspiration and make pens that have piston filling mechanism and also have vac filling mechanisms that are similar, because a piston filling mechanism is a piston filling mechanism. You can't really do a lot different than that. Okay, now that I'm off that rant, I wanted to compare it to this one because this is also a bigger nib, and this is I just love the shape of this nib, and this feels, maybe it flares out too much here. Don't know what it is about this one. So this is, interesting. This is, what is this? Navalur Original Plus. So they have an original that is a piston filling mechanism. Then they have the Original Plus that is a vac filler. And the nib is fine, which if I look at other medium nibs that I have here, this is very comparable to those. And then the ink that I have in here is Robert Oster Soft Kitty. Oh, maybe it's Warm Kitty, Soft Kitty. I seem to have a problem with these ink names. Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty. It has a nice shading property. The shading is more pinkish, and that's a reason why I'm not sure that I like this gray, but I wanted to give it another chance and try it again. It has a nice wet flow. We'll see how this performs, how I like the nib. I can't really tell anything about it just yet. And guess what? Another favorite, I guess. This is inked a lot in my ink rotations, and it's because it's one of my favorite pens. So this time around, I put in the Octopus Fluids Sepia Schwarz. This one is the Pilot Custom 74 with a, it's burgundy. Maybe it's called Bourgogne, but it's wine red, with a medium nib. And the ink is Octopus Fluids Sepia. Oh, wow. This is working out really well. Sepia Schwarz. Sepia Schwarz, if I'm saying it in German. I put this ink in here because I was afraid that if I put it in another pen, it might be too dry. When I swatched these Octopus Fluids inks, they felt very dry on my while swatching. It doesn't seem dry in this pen, but that might just be because this is such a great pen. However, if it works for me at the moment, then I don't see a reason why I shouldn't use it. So that's my ink rotation for 2022. What am I saying? Blah, 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 blah. I'll be back. Okay, I am done, and I am just going to tell you right now that I'm not going to continue writing my currently inked in this book. I don't enjoy the MD paper with fountain pens, or at least not with the fountain pens that I own. It's like the only pen that I thought, well, this writes great on here was the Pilot Custom 74, the really wet Cheerio Water Bus in the Twisby Eco, and maybe the Eco Purple Glow with the deep magenta. Everything else was like a struggle. And so I don't use this paper usually with fountain pens. I don't actually have any of this paper in any of my journals right now. So I'm wondering why I'm doing this, just because I like it, or I liked seeing how these worked and how these looked. Yeah, I'm not for that anymore. So this was the last time. But I really enjoy seeing the inks on the Cosmo Air Light paper. Even though this paper is going to be discontinued, I'm going to keep doing this until I'm done with this notebook, and then I'll reconsider. So the ink properties on both of those papers are very similar. Actually, the vibrance of the inks is more pronounced on the Cosmo Air Light, which is on the left side, as you can see. And the Pannonia Draculeo looks darker on the Tomoe River paper. Well, all of them look darker on the Tomoe River paper. So yeah, I don't have the Cosmo Airlight as a journal because sometimes it feels like I have to put too much energy into dragging my pen over the paper. That's the reason why I don't use it as a journal. But for testing the inks and for using the fountain pens on that for a short amount of time, yeah, that works, and I'll gladly do that just to see how the inks look on there. So I am really excited about this color palette. I am really looking forward to using them in the upcoming month. As I said, I might switch out some, and instead of making a full new rotation in December, I'll just add in some shimmery colors for Christmas, maybe. Don't know yet. I have some that I received from my friend Mar last year that would lend themselves for that. But we'll see. I'll update you for sure. And I think I'm going to make a video about all of my strong opinions that I have currently and let you partake in those as well. If you have any of the pens, if you have experience with any of the inks, I'd love to hear in the comments below. Let me know which one is your favorite color and ink and pen combination. I just love how this looks, and I'm curious, where do these go in this rainbow-ish palette? Thanks so much for watching this endless video. I'll see you soon. Until then, bye.